everyone, and welcome to the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world show made for the fans by a fan. I am your host, as always, Richard Tiemann, and this is the award-winning Fan Show. That's right, everyone's a fan of something, and we have got something for every fan, especially those of you that are fans of Thursday Night Football, new head coaching announcements, the latest rumors and news, BattleBots, and everything in between. And even if you're not a fan of Thursday Night Football, then I guess you're just like me, because I'm really not that big of a fan of Thursday Night Football. I feel like this isn't a secret. I've said this many, many times on the Fan Show, but we'll discuss it one more time for old time's sake, because I know that there's a lot of you out there in Fan Nation that don't know my thoughts on Thursday Night Football, but it seems like it's a topic that we always end up going back to. So strap in, hold on tight. We've got an excellent episode for you, as we are at episode 431. That's right, because last time I was a bit off in my counting. Look, I've started a job where I wake up every morning at the ripe hour of like 3 o'clock, and then I go in at 4 if I'm needed, and then I work till about 10 a.m. So I'm pretty wiped come this hour in the afternoon if I haven't had my nap. So here we are. I got to sleep in today, which was nice, but now we're back to it. And so, of course, a lot to talk about today. I have a very special guest for all of you. Very excited about the return of this special guest that only been on the show one other time, but I could not resist the opportunity to have him on this week, so it was a lot of fun. I thank all of you who are joining me now. I see it looks like Adam, Matt, Aaron, good to see you guys, and the chat on the Facebook Live always open. So is the chat on Spreaker.com. You guys are welcome to chime in at any time, but of course I will ask for your comments specifically when we do the question of the day and for your thoughts on whatever it is that we're covering topic-wise. So without further ado, let us begin today's episode with the headlines. And of course, the headlines are brought to you by Dynamite Enterprises. And the beauty of, if I can get it here, where is it? Why is it doing it? There we go. Okay. Dynamite Enterprises. The beauty of Dynamite Enterprises is that they can take your logo and artwork and they can put it on just about anything. So the thing that I love most about them is that they're always willing to work with you. As I've mentioned numerous times, if there's something that you want done as far as your logo or artwork on something, and you don't see it on their website, dynamiteenterprises.com, then just ask. And you can ask the guy himself, the man in charge of everything, which is Ethan at dynamiteenterprises.com, and he can let you know, yeah, we can totally do, stickers with your cat's face on them, or yeah, we can totally do t-shirts that say I'm awesome, or we can do hats, they can do coasters, they can do koozies, they can do tablecloths, all of it. So just visit Dynamite Enterprises or email Ethan directly to get a quote today and see what they can hook you up with, and they can help customize your world. And before we get too far into the headlines, we'll go ahead and we will begin today's episode with the question of the day, which is Thursday Night Football. Love it or hate it? And while you guys chime in, and we will wrap up the headlines with that question, let's go ahead and take it from the top, which is that we are at Thursday, and we have a matchup tonight. It is the Tennessee Titans and the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't care for either of these teams. I don't really care for the matchup. I don't have anyone from either team on my fantasy teams, if I recall correctly. Of course, week 3 is usually still a little early, but my whole thing with Thursday Night Football is, a lot of people are saying, well, it's the matchup, or it's the teams, or it's whatever. Remember when it used to be like midway through the season, or like a quarter of the way through the season that it started, and then it didn't go all the way through the season, and now it's like we kick off the season with a Thursday Night Football game? That I don't have a problem with, although I still believe that football should stick to Sundays and Monday night. And the reason is that it doesn't matter, in my opinion, what the matchup is. We get sloppy football on Thursday. We just do. It's a short week. If there's an injury, there's less turnaround time as far as to prep the next guy up, which I get, that's just football. If it's in the middle of the game, what do you expect him to do, man? Look, if we can avoid playing the what if game all day long, I think if you look at the history of it, a lot of the games that are played, doesn't matter who the matchup is. It could be a dream matchup. The games are sloppy. And I just don't see a point. They cannot be making enough from Thursday Night Football to think that it's something worth having this much production and pomp and circumstance around. I really, truly believe that it's something that we could do without as football fans. But because it's football, oh my God, football, we tune in. And I don't. I haven't watched the Thursday night game in a long time. If it's my own team, I have a hard enough time watching Thursday Night Football. But it's game midweek that we get, and it just, I hate it. I couldn't imagine living on the East Coast and feeling like I need to stay up till 11 o'clock, 11:30 on a Thursday night for Titans-Jaguars. Even if it's like Packers-Patriots. And, of course, 2019 Packers-Patriots may not be like the best matchup ever. But even if it was, like back when that was like a prime matchup, right? I don't know if I could bring myself to stay up till 11:30 just to see this thing play out. And obviously now that I have to be up at 3 a.m., that's very, very unrealistic. And even on the West Coast, being up until 8:30 is going to be hard enough now moving forward. But still, like East Coasters, I feel you. I really do. I feel for you guys. And so I think that we could do without it. I think the quality of product being better with a full week's rest and time to change roster and to move people up, move people down, whatever you got to do, transactions, waiver wires, whatever. And I'm not just talking fantasy football. I'm talking about like the actual teams playing. I think we would be more appreciative of the sport. But yes, as Adam says, Titans-Jags is the Tank Bowl. I don't think it's a tank so much for the Titans as it is maybe for the Jags. Of course, in other news, Jalen Ramsey has requested a trade. That's the rumor right now, and so we will see what happens with that. With today's social media and the power of Twitter and Facebook and Instagram that we've seen, 9 times out of 10, probably 99 times out of 100, I'll even go that far. If a player is rumored to have requested a trade or to be released, we usually see that wish granted. It could be them posting it on their social media or someone saying they heard it that posts on their social media, and then it usually ends up snowballing from there, and that's the power of social media. It's you love it, you hate it. If it works for you, you love it. If it works against you, you hate it. I don't know where he lands. I don't. A lot of people think the Patriots, of course. Everybody thinks he's a player that's a great player that's a free agent or gets released or wants to trade is going to end up on the Patriots. Like, whatever. You know, come up with something a bit more, out of left field. Don't go for the low-hanging fruit, folks. By the way, I'm loving Body Armor. I wish they sponsored me. I drink like 2 or 3 of these a day. It's the first time I've tried Tropical Punch. Pretty good. I usually do the orange mango or the fruit punch. Let's see here. Adam also says Thursday Night Football is garbage unless it's Thanksgiving. Yes, again, there can always be exceptions to every rule. Thanksgiving is the one exception to football on a Thursday because Thanksgiving happens to be the one holiday that instead of being on the date of the month, it is on the day of that week of the month. Let that sink in. Which, it's almost October. We're midway through September. I'm very much all for Halloween falling on the last Friday or Saturday of October. Like, if we can do this with Thanksgiving, let's do it to a holiday that really needs it. Like, nobody wants to take their kids trick-or-treating on a Tuesday night. Nobody wants to try to make it to that All Hallows Eve party on Monday. Like, it just, come on. Like, really, that holiday needs it. And it's not even a holiday. That's the thing. You get all of Thursday off for Thanksgiving. You don't get any day off for Halloween. So if you had it be the last Friday or Saturday of October, I think everybody wins. But that's just me. Matt says, 3 a.m., I have most of my day in by 3 a.m. Then we are quite the opposite, aren't we? He also says no on Thursday night football. Football is for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Friday high school, Saturday college, and Sunday is the NFL. Don't mess with don't mess with that. Thought he was going to say don't mess with what works. I do believe that is how it should be. Friday night lights, high school football. Saturday, college game day. And then Sunday, you have your NFL. There's no reason to throw in Thursday night. There's just not. Because once you do Thursday, and it's been talked about, don't think that I'm crazy, and Thursday night's been around for a while, but it has been talked about that they would do Wednesday or Tuesday, and it's just, stop it. And I think even Friday. Let's see here. Adam also says that Taco got released by Dallas. Then he went to Miami. Moral of the story, be careful what you wish for. St. Patrick's Day is on a Friday. Or St. Patrick's Day on Friday. Yes, I think that would also be another great holiday to have be, what is that? It's usually the middle of the month. Isn't St. Patrick's Day the middle of the month, kind of, toward the middle? So if you could have that be the second Friday of every month. There you go. Everybody wins on that one. In other news, of course, we do have some big matchups, so we'll go ahead and get through. You guys can continue to chime in on today's question of the day while we go through these Week 3 matchups. Obviously, tonight we have Tennessee at Jacksonville, and then I don't believe that's a good game for a survivor pool. Titans at 1-1 and Jags at 0-2. You can maybe pick the Titans, but the Titans are that perfect team to really disappoint you when you need them not to. Lions-Eagles. I'm not going to say survivor pool on this one. I would go with the Eagles just because the Lions are that perfect team to disappoint you. And the Eagles could equally disappoint you. I wish Luke was tuned in right now because it would be a lot of fun. March 17th, Matt says, for St. Patrick's Day. Of course he would know that. So yeah, middle of the month. You could do second Friday of March for St. Patrick's Day. I think that's a win-win. Or second Saturday. And then we have Jets-Patriots. This one seems obvious for if you're in a survivor pool to go with the Patriots. The Jets are going to go with, isn't it Nick Folk? That is their quarterback, the former quarterback from WSU. Or Luke Falk. I'm sorry, Nick Falk. Nick Folk was a kicker. Luke Falk is the quarterback for the Jets right now. And then we have the Raiders and Vikings. Not worth it. So I'm going to say I will pick the Eagles. I will pick the Patriots, obviously. And then I'm going to pick the Vikings against the Raiders simply because the Vikings are the home team. Ravens-Chiefs, your game of the week. Probably not the best one to do a survivor pool of. This one I'm sure a lot of people are going to think is a preview of things to come as far as two young quarterbacks, two young teams, and two great head coaches that have only achieved greatness once or twice in their respected careers, and that is John Harbaugh and Andy Reid. But both are 2-0. Someone has to lose unless they tie. Please don't tie. But a lot of people probably thinking that this will be a shootout. If the Chiefs win, it would be their third straight 3-0 start. Don't know if that means anything because they have not made it to the Super Bowl in any of those 3-0 starts. So maybe they need a loss early to shake things up, to change that. But usually when people say that a game is going to be a shootout and that the over-under, you should take the over as far as the total points scored in that matchup, usually ends up being a low-scoring game. So I'm going to say that this one probably the mid-20s for both teams. And the reason is because they still have good defenses, and I think the Chiefs will probably come out on top because they have the better defense and the more tenured quarterback. Not by much, though. So it'll be a close one. Still looking forward to that game. Then we have the Colts and Falcons. Again, not a survivor pool pick 'em that I would say. Falcons and the Colts are equally just as, what the hell. I would say the Falcons over the Colts. The Colts got, in my mind, extremely lucky last week. And even though they're at home, the Falcons, I think, are the team that are the better team. And I have my reasons, but I really can't explain it any better than that. Broncos at Packers, 0-2 Broncos at a 2-0 Packers. This would be the perfect time for the Packers that have won games that they shouldn't have to lose a game that they should win. So this one, I will say, is a survivor pool pick 'em, and you could pick either way on it. You could pick the Packers at 2-0 at home to beat the Broncos, or you could pick the Broncos at 0-2 to upset the Packers. Because luck runs out every now and then. I don't know if it's week 3 for the Packers at home, but when you're facing an 0-2 team after you've narrowly escaped twice in a row, I don't know. There's that one I have circled because I think that'll probably be a better matchup than a lot of us expect. And then let's see what else we've got. Miami at Dallas. I'll say you could probably go ahead and pick Dallas in your survivor pool for this one. A lot of people think that they're the most fake 2-0 team, but Miami, in my opinion, is the most real 0-2 team. So to each their own. Pick your poison. Bengals at the Bills. Again, an 0-2 versus a 2-0. A lot of opportunity for teams undefeated to stay that way, and some opportunity for teams that have yet to win to get upsets. Bengals and Bills. I don't think this is a very good choice for if you're in a survivor pool, because this would be, again, a prime example of the perfect situation where the Bills would go and really disappoint you despite having the better record, and the Bengals would go and really surprise you despite having the worse record. I will still pick the Bills at home, but it would not surprise me in the least bit if this game was low scoring and the Bengals somehow managed to come away with the win. Next up, an 0-2 Giants team against a 1-1 Bucks team. I'd say, even though there tends to be like a rebirth happening with teams when they get a new quarterback change-up that they've been wanting and expecting for a while, that the Buccaneers are the better team. They're at home, but the Giants may surprise you in this. I think it's going to come down to play calling and clock management for the Giants, really. Close game, probably like a 28-21 kind of game or a 28-24 kind of game. And I think I'm going to have to give the nod to... I don't trust the Buccaneers, though. I really don't. But I don't trust the Giants either. Still going to go Buccaneers. Sorry, guys, for the delay on that. Panthers, Cardinals, we've got an 0-2 versus an 0-1-1. If the Panthers are going to get in the win column, it's going to be this game. I don't think that if they start 0-3, their season's over. And I know there's still plenty of season. And, yeah, there's a chance that they could make it to the playoffs. But I have not seen anything from this team to indicate that they are worthy of postseason if they were to start 0-3. They have not looked like a cohesive unit. So I'm going to go with the Panthers on the road because I do think that, on all honesty, the Cardinals are, without a doubt, the worst of the two teams. They're the only team that has everything but a win right now, and that's a loss and a tie. 49ers, Steelers. Dare I say it's a survivor pool pick'em. 0-2 Steelers with a backup quarterback against the 49ers who return home for the first time this season. I'm going to circle my Niners and then some, and I will probably pick them this week, and that has all the makings of a huge upset. But they're my team, and I've got to go for them. Saints and Seahawks. Saints with a backup quarterback now. Seahawks at home again for the second time this season. Seahawks are 2-0. I'd say that's probably got your best chance at being a payoff for a survivor pool, is picking the Seahawks at home against the Saints that are without Drew Brees. And then the Texans and Chargers, both 1-1. Probably don't want to use that as your survivor pool, but I will take the Texans over the Chargers. Chargers just really disappointed me against Detroit last week. Browns hosting the Rams. Browns got a great win over the Jets on Monday night. Probably be their only win for a while. There's nothing, Joe Zolo said it himself. He doesn't believe that Mr. Kitchens is a great quality head coach. So I'm going to take the Rams, but how funny would it be if the Browns got the upset? So that's my other survivor pool pick'em right there. I'd say the Browns the Rams on the road against the Browns. Bears and Redskins 1-1 against 0-2. Again, probably not a game you want to pick. I'm going to say the Redskins get the win at home against the Bears, and that is going to do it for Week 3. So again, my survivor pool pick'em choices are the Rams on the road against the Browns, the Seahawks at home against the Saints, or either one. You could either go Packers at home against the Broncos or the Broncos to upset the Packers at home. I'll leave that up to you guys. And that's your Week 3 pick'em. Hey, Dustin, good to see you. Let's see. Matt says, I have seen a kicker that also was a QB. I could see the Packers losing at home Week 3 if it was December. No way. Very true. Adam says, hot take, Miami's going to go 0-16 this year, so by that jinx, they'll beat Dallas. That's very true. Hey, Luke did join. Yeah, he's sorry he's late. He hates Thursday night football. We were just talking about your Eagles, and I swear it was all good things. Jarvis Neal has joined us. What's up, man? What's up to you, too? Good to see you. So now, you guys are probably all expecting me to go over a bit of news that happened earlier this week. Which, the funny thing is that the first part of this news happened over the weekend, and I did not get the chance to really talk about, what had happened and what I thought would happen and everything like that, because it happened so fast. And so at the end of the episode, I said, oh yeah, and this happened, and we'll talk about it Thursday. Well, then yesterday it had to go and basically get even more crazy. And so now we will talk about our top story before we get into the interview with my special guest tonight, the Chiseled Adonis, which he is a hilarious individual. And don't forget, BattleBots, the Tournament of 16, starts tomorrow night. I hope you guys have all enjoyed the videos from my time with BattleBots. It was a lot of fun to shoot, and those interviews turned out better than I expected. Great quality work, and everybody seems to be enjoying them so far. So if you haven't, go and check them out. BattleBots, their official Facebook page, has been sharing them, and then, of course, they are available under the video tab of their website. So here we go. There has been a changing of the guard in Tucson, Arizona. Sugar Skulls announced yesterday during a live stream broadcast on social media that they have named a new head coach. I don't know what was wrong with the old one, but nonetheless, it is former Iowa Barnstormer head coach Dixie Wooten. And as you see, his credentials speak for themselves. 2017-2018 IFL Coach of the Year, and in fact, he was the 2018 Fan Show Coach of the Year. 36-8 record over the last 3 years, and bringing Iowa its first championship in franchise history at the 2018 United Bowl. So everybody has been blowing up my inbox asking me about this, what I've heard, what I know. I don't really claim to know a lot. I just simply repeat what I've heard, what people come to me with. And for those saying that it wasn't about money at all, look, this is America. It's always a little bit about money. So what I had heard over a week ago was that, actually, let's take it back a little further. Right after the United Bowl, what I had heard was that Dixie was not happy with his role with the Iowa Barnstormers, that he wanted a bit more control over, basically the transactions, basically doing a bit more of a GM type role with the team as the head coach, which we all know my belief, my feeling, my philosophy is that you need to have great people in place to do their job and only their job. You let the owners own, you let the GMs manage, and you let the coaches coach. And you don't let that get mixed up or the lines blurred. Otherwise, you get the Dallas Cowboys, which is Jerry Jones trying to be owner, GM, and coach all at once. And apparently, the face of the franchise, because he's always up for interviews and whatnot. But what I had heard was that after the United Bowl, Dixie was unhappy with his current role with the Barnstormers, knowing that there was a year left on his contract. And so he had voiced that he wanted this, that, or the other as far as when they restructured. And then he also had been talking with some people about, how much they get paid for their head coaching job. And this wasn't just within the IFL. It was at different levels, like college, semi-pro, things like that. And when he started to compare what he was making to others, he thought, maybe he had enough ground to stand on that he could ask for more in turn with the larger role and whatever. And again, that was not happening. So, like I said, let me clarify. This is everything that I heard from one of my sources, actually from a couple of sources, to be entirely honest. So, after the United Bowl, He's unhappy, wants a bit more control over the team and moving forward with a year left on his contract. Also wants a bit more money. I feel like he's got the resume and the cards to play that hand as far as wanting more money, bringing the first ever championship to the Barnstormers, back-to-back Coach of the Year. The record speaks for itself. But in the world of the IFL, it's not the NFL. Every owner has their own budget and what they can spend, and the only guy making Kevin Guy money is Kevin Guy. Unless Kevin Guy is the man that signs your checks. So he asked for his release. It was granted. And some people are saying that Iowa had no idea he was going to Tucson, but what I had heard a week ago was that he was going to go to Tucson, and he was going to be happier there because he was going to get everything that he wanted in Tucson. And in return, the current head coach of Tucson, former Iowa defensive coordinator, Mr. Coleman, was going to come back to Iowa. Good fit, would probably bring some players with him, keeps that winning mentality and the same thing that Dixie put forth with the Barnstormers during his tenure there in place, and it wasn't going to be such a odd, awkward transitional period while you find your next guy. So everybody's just like, yeah, he totally screwed over the Barnstormers. That I do not believe to be true. And people saying that it wasn't about money, I also believe that not to be true. It was probably more about him wanting more control. Yes, entirely honest about that. I would say that when it comes to me, if I can have more control over the things that I do, money is a bit secondary. But if you have more control and if you want to do more, you want to get paid more for what you do and what you have control over. It's just life. It's the world that we live in. So it was announced yesterday he will be the new head coach of the Tucson Sugar Skulls. And then I've also heard that the discussions are happening with Marcus Coleman as far as being the next head coach of the Iowa Barnstormers. So it's very funny to me to hear the different things that will come out as far as the rumor mill and what happened. And this, what I'm telling you, is simply what I have heard. I have not talked to Dixie Wooten personally. I haven't talked to any of the brass with the Sugar Skulls or the Barnstormers personally, but it's kind of funny when people think that I don't know what I'm talking about or that I'm even going so far as joking with what I say when I make a post over a week ago saying Dixie will probably end up in Tucson, and then he resigns and everybody's like, where is he going to go? And then he ends up in Tucson yesterday. So anyway, that's the big news. I think it's a great fit. I really do. I think he's going to do great things with Tucson and Iowa. I think they'll be in good hands because now Iowa is a very attractive destination because even without Dixie, they've done very well front office wise and franchise wise. They're a very well run organization. I think that if Dixie was with a team like let's say San Diego or Cedar Rapids and then he left, they're probably going to have a little bit harder of a time filling that void because, one, San Diego is an expansion team. No, they're not anymore, but they were. And then Cedar Rapids did the whole rebrand thing, and they had a miserable record, and there weren't a whole lot of things to get excited about. With Iowa, though, they've always been a key component of the IFL and the world of arena and indoor football. And so people will always know that franchise and their name. And I think they're going to be just fine. I think they're going to find a head coach that works for them, and it'll be awesome. For those guys. I think everybody in the end is going to get what they want, including Spokane, who this week their number one head coaching candidate was in town, so I would expect that announcement very shortly. I do not know if the individual accepted the offer or not, or if negotiations are going to continue, but that was just, again, something that I had heard that had happened this week. Adam says, if you talk to Guy, the first words he'd say would be ticky-tack. I guess he's more than fine with this. I didn't watch the press conference. I just knew what was happening. And I think a lot of people don't understand like how it is that I know the things that I know. Look, I don't mean to toot my own horn, but let me just say this to clarify a few things, all right? When it comes to the different sites and groups and platforms and sources or whatever that cover the world of indoor football, and specifically the Indoor Football League, more people come to me really a one-man band, a one-man show, despite having help from my lovely wife, Danja, and taking friends of mine on, mini trips, like taking Matt Crum with me to BattleBots as an assistant, or taking Josh with me over to Seattle for the XFL showcase. But Danja will help me when she can. But otherwise, if I don't have a fill-in assistant for that week, that weekend, or that one event, it's just me. But yet these pages that have these correspondents in different places, entire teams that do writing for this and video for that, people choose to come to me for information. One guy over all those other pages and places that have multiple cogs in their machine. So I don't know why that is. That's just the way that it is right now in my mind. And if you don't believe that to be true, then that's fine. However, people still choose to tell me things, and right now there's not a lot that happens in the world of the IFL that I don't know about. So it's very good, it's very bad. With great power comes great responsibility, and that's why I don't go blabbing away like every little thing that happens, saying like, this is happening right now. Again, I heard that Spokane was meeting with its top head coaching candidate. I didn't speak to the owner of Spokane because as of right now, there's still people that believe that the Spokane Shock are not coming back. So it is what it is. It's, I try my very best because I want what is best for the IFL. It's players, coaches, and staff included. I will always help the players try to get to the next level or any opportunity that they want, however I can. And I will always appreciate the people that work behind the scenes because I know what it's like to work behind the scenes. That's why I think that photographers don't get enough credit for the work that they do. GMs and, of course, media directors don't get enough credit for the work they do. And the players really deserve a lot more credit for basically giving up months of their lives for less than minimum wage to just get an opportunity to achieve something better than themselves, and that's a chance at another level. So I'm just a guy. And Adam says, I was just making another joke, and it's fine, man. Like I know you were. It's fine. My wife says she does what she can, and I love her for that. And then Matt says, I'm a man of integrity. I started this podcast because I wanted to be different media. I really did. And I certainly hope that to an extent over the course of 4 years and now its 5th season that I have done everything that I could to stay true to what I set out to do, which was not to deliver gossip, which was not to talk about anything but what you guys tuned in for, but to actually give you the information that I know that you guys want, things that I know that you've heard that you want some clarity on, and most importantly, the things that you want to know as a fan, because there's a lot as a fan that I want to know, and that's why I choose to ask the questions that I do. So this interview that I have with Chiseled Adonis, it's a great one. I ask the questions like a fan because I'm a huge fan of his, and I think you guys are really going to like it. So continue to like, share, and subscribe as you see all the scrollies as far as where you can find us on demand: iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio. And make sure to follow and like us on social media because we can't keep doing this thing without you guys. And we have been growing and growing and growing, and I've been really happy about that. Great BattleBots content for those interested. But Thursday Night Football, I think we can all agree that, I'm happier without it. I think we could do without it. But in all honesty, like, what's that meme from WWE? It's got Stephanie McMahon, and behind her is a sign that says, "It's like you're not even trying." That's how I feel about the NFL and scheduling Thursday Night Football. It's like you're not even trying. So maybe if they tried, we'd care, or I would care. But divisional matchups like this early in the season, I do not care about. Give us the odd interconference matchups that we aren't expecting to see. Like I said, Patriots-Packers. Give us that matchup on Thursday night. But Titans-Jags or Browns-Bills, those are not primetime worthy games. And I know everybody's thinking, well, it can change at any moment, any season. And just because they did bad one season doesn't mean they will the next. You're right. But we're at week 3, and it's still pretty early. And I think looking at last year and this year, you could have said maybe the Titans and the Jaguars isn't the best matchup that we could go with at week 3. Maybe we should just put a pin in that and save it for later on. The last Rambo, or so we think, is going to come out tomorrow, or tonight actually. And then October, we've got Joker movie. So we've got some pop culture-y stuff coming up too that we can talk about. Adam says, get rid of Thursday Night Football and get rid of the London games. Amen. We will probably talk about that on another time, but we are getting a little later than I expected here. So without further ado or any more delay, I'm going to go ahead and kick it over exclusively to Spreaker.com and my interview with the one and only Chiseled Adonis. All right, ladies and gentlemen, joining me now, a very special guest for a very special week here in the Fan Cave studio. I'm a Niners fan. He's a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, and he's one of the best in the commentary biz. I should know. I'm in commentary myself, but don't ask me to go toe-to-toe with the great one. He is the incomparable, incorrigible, incredible, the Chiseled Adonis. How you doing, man?
I'm doing sensational, but if you're going to call me into the show, if you're going to introduce me, you got to do it right. Oh. You got to say the right verbiage and give me the right sort of entrance that somebody like myself deserves. See, I'm the diligent, vigilant, meticulous, sagacious, conscientious, analytical, methodical individual. The Chiseled Adonis. Now, how are you doing?
Oh, I am doing phenomenal after that. And like I said, folks, he's one of the best in the biz. And it's not just mad rhymes and intros like that he does. He does some of the best football commentary. And if you haven't seen it, you're living under a rock. And, well, I take that back. You may be living under a rock, but you also may just be a user and subscriber of YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and all the other social media platforms because you blink and you miss it. The videos are up and then they're gone. And I got to ask you, your eternal struggle with social media and violating, which I can't even say it with a straight face, the violations of their terms and agreements and of their good conduct policies or whatever it is that they tell you in those emails. Like, you're a huge wrestling fan like myself. If you had to describe your rivalry with social media, YouTube, Instagram Live, Facebook, all of that, and compare it to one that you were a huge fan of in wrestling lore, what do you think it would compare to? What's the best way to describe it?
I would love to say it's Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Vince McMahon in the Attitude Era, but you did see Austin go over. He finally had his moment. So the best way to go about it, I'd have to say it's probably Dolph Ziggler versus The Authority in like 2014. Because he never got his opportunity to win.
Yeah, I was, you made a good point. You're like, Stone Cold eventually went over, and I hope that you do. I hope that the story is not concluded yet, that it's still being written, and I believe that it is. But I also thought maybe, well, yeah, that is the first one that comes to mind, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Vince McMahon. It's like you're trying to keep the man down, and he does great things, and the crowd wants him. But there was also the era of We Want Ryder, where Zack Ryder was so hot for a quick minute, and Hugh Jackman even came to Raw, and he partnered up with him, and it was like, this is it. This is the moment that we're going to see him just catapult into new heights, and then it never happened. So I think Dolph Ziggler versus The Authority, great comparison. But like I said, I hope that your story obviously is not finished yet. Your commentary videos are so great because not only do you continue to come up with new material, but you also do throwbacks. And I got to say, one of my favorite is the Tom Brady. Man,
it's one of my favorites myself.
Yeah, because you did a highlight video of all the different that I can't even do it like you, but where do you come up with some of your material, and what is it about the NFL that you love so much as far as it presenting new challenges for you to come up with new stuff?
Well, with the coming up with the material, I'll answer that one first. It's much easier than most people would think because whatever comes to my mind first, that's the first thing that I say. And the funniest thing with the Tom Brady moan when he throws the ball, that all happened by accident. Because I was going to say something and then I sneezed. But the way that I sneezed, it came out completely way different than I initially anticipated. But the computer was still recording. So when I played it back, all I heard was Tom Brady with, and I was like, wait a minute. That's a weird sound. Let me keep it in there. And then when I played it inside and everybody watched it, they loved it. So I said, you know what? I'm going to keep that. And then it became a staple with Tom Brady. Until this day, it's one of my favorite things to do. As for the other jokes, as I said, it's the first thing that comes to mind. And the challenge is sometimes when either the suplex from DeAndre Hopkins on the Monday Night Football, like that, there are times where different things happen, and I will have to come up with a very creative way to attack what's happening in the game. Like if somebody gets mossed or somebody's helmet comes off, I'll go with, usually it's the second thing that comes to mind. So I say, all right, whatever came to mind first, how can I top that? And then present that to the audience. And sometimes I even take requests. I'll look in the comment section. People will DM me, and I'll look at their messages and say, you know what? I like this person's mind. I like their joke. I'll take theirs and tell them I'll use it in the video.
That's right, you did, because I even had a suggestion for you after our first interview together. I said you need to have either a Dragon Ball Z or a Game of Thrones reference in this next one, because I feel like there's a lot of moments. And, you know, for a comedian like yourself to use pop culture references, what's current, what's available, in there is a great tactic. But at the same time, your videos, I feel, are ageless. Like, you don't need to know football in order to watch and enjoy what you do. So do you ever have like a struggle with yourself? Is like, so there's this happening in the world right now, but a month, a year, 5 years from now, like, are people going to get it? Like, do you ever have that moment, or do you just kind of off the cuff with it?
I'm always off the cuff with it. I've had instances where I thought, I wonder if people who look back, will they be able to get it? Because sometimes when I make old school jokes about different things, whether in politics or different sort of wars, or things that happened in like the 1800s. I know my very first season of the commentary, I had a ton of callbacks, but I always look at it from the an old joke that I heard years ago, where it said jokes only work if you know stuff. So those who get it, they get it. And those who don't, well, they'll be extremely confused, but somebody in the comment section will help them out.
Which brings me to my next point. Perfect segue. The comment section is one of the greatest and worst things about the internet. We've seen some great memes made out of comments from different things that have happened, especially in football. If you follow a lot of football, NFL memes is a great place to go. But Reddit, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, the comments, man, they can be vicious. They can be just ferocious out there. But for you, as someone who's probably seen thousands of comments a day, an hour, what have you, over the course of doing all of this, I'm sure you have a couple of favorites. If you can recall, even if they're not the all-time greatest, but just a few maybe in recent memory, what's been some of your most favorite comments that you've gotten from people on some of your videos?
Oh, wow. I had somebody say that they laughed so hard they had a miscarriage. It was a lady, and
wow.
I was dying laughing. I'm like, this was out of nowhere. I was not prepared for that at all. Had somebody say that. They had another guy who said that he got evicted and his landlord, he didn't pay his bill, but because he kept laughing, his landlord wanted him out. So that was interesting, too. But it was just very odd comments of just, they relate laughing to just the worst sort of situations in life.
What's the most uneducated comment you've ever seen from somebody? Because we get those a lot.
Yeah, most uneducated comment. Now, that's an interesting one. I'd have to probably, here we go. Maybe this past week, where they said Lamar Jackson, after 2 games, became the best quarterback in the league. And the craziest thing about it was sometimes you have those who troll, and then you have the extremist fans of their team. But this guy was passionately breaking down with percentages versus all other quarterbacks in the league in the first 2 games. Like, no, you don't understand. He had a perfect rating here. He's the best quarterback in the league by far. Like, wait a minute. It's only been 2 games. Oh, no, wait, slow your roll. Ryan Leaf had a good couple of games and never played good again. Maybe we should slow the roll, you know?
Now, obviously, as a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, there's been a lot of drama, controversy, things like that happening in the offseason and off the field. You guys are rid of Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell. Don't know how you feel about those two, but let me ask you this. As somebody who constantly strives to put out better content than they did the day before, being a fan of a team, is it easier to do what you do if they suck or if they're good?
I don't necessarily think it matters, but I think it would be better if they did suck. Like, if they suck through and through, people will continually tune in. Like, why is this guy so passionate about a team that's losing? Because a lot of people don't get that. Although I'm a Steelers fan, I'm a football fan first. So I can objectively, analyze the game and won't really necessarily put bias towards the Steelers. Hence why in my pregame analysis, I always give kudos to the opposing team. And in the postgame, even if the Steelers lose, I always give credit where credit's due. I'm not one to, the referee threw this flag of delay a game in the second quarter, and that's why we lost by 30. No, I'll never do something like that. So I think if the Steelers were consistently losing, it wouldn't necessarily make the content better because everybody loves to see somebody who's miserable.
Yeah, misery does love company, and company loves the internet. So when it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers and Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell, like, where were you when that whole thing was transpiring last season? Because it kind of really ramped up towards the end of the season as they're anxiously awaiting, are we going to make the postseason? And they had to rely on the Browns to try to get that done. And I feel like that is the makings of a beautiful disaster for someone in your, line of work.
Oh yeah. It was extremely depressing because the Steelers were coming off of a 6-game winning streak, and then they went to Denver, and they found every way to lose that game. And you had over 500 yards of offense. Then they lost. Then they had the Boswell slip against the Raiders, ultimately losing the next game. I can't remember who they played against. They finally beat the Patriots for the first time in who knows how long. Then lost to New Orleans, and then once we had to go and depend on the Browns, and in a sense, I had confidence in Baker Mayfield to get it done, but a little piece of me just knew it was over. But I tried to stay, optimistic. But when everything started to break down, I just said, you know what? Things will play out the way that they're supposed to. Just the guys in the locker room have to be able to rise above all of the noise, and ultimately they couldn't. So I was disappointed at how Tomlin held that locker room and how people reacted to certain sort of things. Because majority of the things that transpired, if not all of them, could have been, resolved through conversation inside of the locker room. But everybody took it to the media.
Yes, and it's just one of those crazy fiascos that I'm sure as a fan you're probably happy it's over. Even if it did provide great material, it's like, okay, this is my team. Like, we need to move on to the actual football portion of this segment, and that is that hopefully we're better next year, which unfortunately Big Ben is out. You have a new quarterback in, and you guys are moving on from the Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown era. It seemed voluntarily, unlike the Raiders. That was more involuntary because they just finally had to get rid of Antonio Brown. And, of course, Le'Veon Bell found home with the Jets, which now they have lost their starting quarterback as well. So things are all sunshine and rainbows over on the AFC side of things, and it just couldn't happen to better teams. But before we talk about this week's matchup, last question I have for you. Are kickers the gift that keep on giving for what you do?
Oh, without question. It is Christmas every weekend for these kickers. Every single weekend. When I see a ball sailing wide to the right, left, or just hits a Cody crossbar, it's ridiculous. I'm never prepared to see as many missed kicks as I've seen over the course of the last 3 years.
Yes, and of course the put your head back down, still waiting on those T-shirts. But do you pick a new kicker each season, or do you kind of let the NFL and football universe tell you who's going to be your new put your head back down person of the week?
I rely on the universe to do that for me, because Nick Folk got everything started on that Thursday night football game. And then since then, it was just him. And then Blair Wall said, hey, he's having some fun missing kicks. Let me go and join him. And then the following year, we were just waiting to see who it'd be. And then Daniel Carlson and Zane Gonzalez got stuff going. And Cody Parkey took it to a whole new level. And now we're with him.
Oh, Cody Parkey. Yep. That's a gift that gives twice. A double dink, a double doink.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. When you see a moment like that, and you're like, I have to do this part of my commentary first because it's so fresh and I'm so ready, or do you just kind of be like, I'll cross that bridge when I get there. I don't want to rush into it.
Oh, I'm definitely across that bridge when I get there kind of guy, but I always leave teasing moments. Like I'll have a field goal that is pretty much meaningless to the game. I'll have it there and I'll build it to where it sounds as if I'm going to go there, and I'll just move on to the next clip. I'll act as if I'm mentioning, I'm slowly trying to ingratiate the audience with what's going to happen at some point in the video. So those who know, they're like, all right, I see where this is going. It's going to happen. It's inevitable. It's going to happen.
All right, well, this week 3, which, of course, I don't know if it's going to produce as much great moments and overreactions as week 2 does every year, because you just really can't beat week 2. I think the only thing that beats week 2 is week 1 or 2 of the preseason as far as who's going to the Super Bowl. So now we're in week 3, and we're that much closer, a week, to the Super Bowl and who might potentially go. And, of course, if the season ended today, well, there'd be a lot of people that would be in that picture, and then a lot of people that would be out of that picture, because that's what the NFL does. So 49ers host the Steelers, and as much as I wanted this to be a Big Ben game where we have like a true test of two teams that maybe didn't get the best starts to their seasons. I mean, obviously the 49ers on the road, 2 games in a row, Tampa Bay, and then of course Cincinnati, and then the Steelers, starting off against the Patriots, and then they have to play the Seahawks. I mean, that's not the easiest first 2 games of the season, but here we are for game 3. And I really wanted it to be that good matchup. And I don't know, maybe I'm discrediting Mason Rudolph too early, but he is a backup quarterback that has been called upon to try and lead this team to victory. So I was all ready to do, do you want to do a jersey bet? Do you want to have this be where, we could each do our own respective shout out videos to each other as far as whoever loses? But I will leave it up to you, because your team is sort of on the downside right now with a backup quarterback going on the road. So I will put this in your court.
I think we still can do a bit of a shout out bet. I think that can work. I'm still a bit confident in my team. So yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So the Chiseled Adonis and your host of the Fan Show, Richard Tiemann, have a jersey shout out bet where the loser must wear the opposing team's jersey. It can be whatever jersey they want, and then they must do a shout-out video to the winner and post it on all forms of social media. And for Chiseled Adonis, of course, it'll probably be up for all of 30 seconds before it gets taken down due to a violation of their terms and conditions and their policies. But at least if I have to do it, it could be up for forever, but only get about 25 views as opposed to his 100,000. But I think that's a great bet. I'm excited for this week. So tell us what's new, where we can find you, and enjoy all that the Chiseled Adonis has to offer.
Well, you can find me all over social media. As the host did say, who knows how long it's going to stay up. But I'm on YouTube, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter. I'm even on Pornhub. I'm all over the place. And at Chiseled Adonis. So you could go and tune in. I got all kinds of content that's up there, although we're heavy on football. But I've got all sorts of content. And, check me out, man. It's very entertaining stuff. It's memorable. I can guarantee you that.
He also does a podcast himself with co-host Marv Glover, 2 comedians for Hold My Nuggets, which is one of his own personal catchphrases and shout-outs that he does on the commentary side of things. But yes, if it's Tom Brady's, or if it's the power of dreadlocks, or if it's Hold My Nuggets, he's got some of the funniest commentary out there. And it doesn't just stop at football. Like he said, he covers a majority of it, including some of my personal favorites, my guilty pleasure, the YouTube viral video fight commentary, where it's not a UFC fight, it's not a boxing fight, we're at a restaurant lounge of a very respectable Olive Garden, and soccer mom Susan has decided she wants to speak to the manager.
Oh, man. Oh, it never gets old.
No, it really doesn't, man. Keep doing what you're doing. I seriously love that I know you and that I can have you on the show and can tell my friends, I know this guy, check him out. So he is the Chiseled Adonis, and he is one of the best in the biz. So, hey, man, I look forward to the game this week and seeing what you have for commentary video shortly after. So you have a good one. Thank you so much again for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. Take care.
All right, thank you. And one more time, a big thank you to the Chiseled Adonis, as we wrap up another fantastic episode of The Fan Show. I want to thank you all for joining me. Don't forget, you can like and subscribe and listen on demand on your time, your terms, iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio. We broadcast live and record the initial podcast through Spreaker.com. You can also subscribe there as well. There's a chat feature if you ever happen to listen live and can't make the Facebook Live. But Facebook Live happens right now, Tuesday and Thursday. We do BattleBots specials every Wednesday. So go and like the Facebook page. Follow us on Twitter at FanShowOfficial, and check out the Instagram, which is The Fan Show. We've got a YouTube channel and much, much more. So this is not the only content we have, but it's definitely the one that we're the most proud of, including the videos that you can see posted online and on the Facebook page, and clips on the Twitter and on the Instagram. We've got you covered, Fan Nation. And remember, it's not official unless it's Fan Show official, and we are officially out of here. So until next time, best of luck to you and yours. Go Niners, and remember, it's all fun and games until you butt fumble. Good night, folks.
Do you remember the time that Mark Sanchez ran into his own player's butt? That was funny sports.
Thank you for having me on the show, man. I love the Fan Show.